Today, I'm going to talk about how I got a job as a digital marketing analyst through the job interview process. We're going to also be covering some major tips I learned over the years to be very helpful and effective for acing your job interview. Now, here's the thing. The job interview is one of the most pivotal, maybe the most pivotal part of getting a job. And yet we spend years in school studying history and math and physics and all these random topics, and yet we spend almost zero time preparing for a couple 1 hour interviews that can make or break the difference between you being unemployed, being unable to pay rent, stressed and anxious, versus you getting a bunch of job offers. It's really crazy. It's one of those areas, just kind of like personal finance, where the results are so powerful, and yet most people don't spend nearly any time or as much time as they should practicing, rehearsing, preparing, understanding how to job interview properly, because it is a skill. Now, I will say, let's just get into some of these tips and facts. I'm not an expert at this, but I will say it has helped me land some really good jobs over the years. And let me just start by telling you that as a digital marketing data analyst, which is a little bit different from a data analyst, this one is more focused on the tooling and the tools versus programming. It's like knowing how to use and set up certain custom tracking tools, visualize those with web analytics tools and business intelligence tools. But the point being, for a job like this, to ace that interview, I mean, it's so crucial because you may only have 1, 2, or 3 interviews, and that's it. That's how they decide, yes, hire this person or eliminate them from the pool of candidates. It's really just those few hours that can really make or break something, which is really funny because, you spend years in school, you spend years, maybe hours trying to put together this resume. So how do you actually succeed? Well, first off, you've already got the first job interview, so congrats on that. Now, that means that you probably have some indication that you have enough technical skill to get this job going. Now, my experience and my story with most job interviews is that when I start out, I come in prepared. So when I got this job offer for my current role that I've been working for 3 years as a digital marketing data analyst, I kind of had a sense of what specific questions they could ask because I've gone on various job interviews already. That's a great way of preparing and seeing a common thread of questions. But also you can search online for certain questions that they will ask. Typically, these questions are pretty common. They'll ask some questions to test that you actually have technical skills in that ability. They'll ask some questions just about you to see if you're someone who's actually someone they would like to hang around and could be harmonious in the team. And then they may ask some questions about you and your soft skills and experiences, because emotional intelligence is important. It's not just about having hard skills, but being able to communicate well in all these things. And so I knew I had certain questions that would come up. And because of that, I knew I had to have a rough sense of what I would answer. That doesn't mean you have to write it down line by line, word for word, but I had certain things I wanted to hit each time. And sometimes you only get 30 seconds or less. So you want to highlight the most important example to prove irrefutably that you have these things, because that's what they're really screening for. Now, another part of it that people forget is it really is another sales opportunity. A lot of these salesmanship tips that you get apply here as well, because you are selling yourself. And a lot of these things have to do with emotions, presentation, communication, and making a person feel a certain way. It's not just all numbers and math. It's about feelings and emotions. So, I remember I could sense one time where I was applying for another job that I didn't get during this job interview process where I got my current job. And for this other job, I sensed the moment, the feelings, where the energy of the employer just shifted down. And that obviously was a big sign. And sure enough, they said I didn't make it to the next round of interviews. And I remember the exact question and all of that happened. And frankly, it's about not just stating the facts, but really conveying the impression that you're confident, clear, crisp with your communication. You're not mumbling, you're not stumbling, you're very certain and confident, not arrogant or cocky, but confident with your speech patterns and your ability to do the job. And so all those things really make an effort. You know, they probably go through multiple rounds of candidates and everyone is, you know, kind of middle of the road, same, talking the same. And so if you come in a different way with more energy, more pizzazz, maybe you even come in with some excitement, some passion, and a smile, maybe crack a joke. These are things that really matter. You got to think about how you stand out in a better way from the typical candidate. Can you use more stories to build visuals in their head? Can you emote more? Can you make them smile? Can you make them laugh? Employers are people too. They're kind of bored on occasion, especially if they see the same type of candidate, the same boring speech every time. Make them have an experience that's fun, exciting, and don't mumble or stutter or, you know, be unclear or articulate with your words or be nervous or insecure or any of that. Try your best to communicate well because those things do come across. So I try to do all that, and clearly I'm not a master at it. I'm no Kai Cenat with my communication, but I tried my best. I practiced. You could practice with friends, practice in front of the mirror, record yourself, watch it. All these things really make an impact. Even how you dress. I dressed up in a suit even though they were virtual interviews because that type of stuff does matter when you're presenting. And so with all these other things, you can pull them together and have a great interview experience. And I think one framework that's really important here is stop thinking selfishly, think empathetically. It may be common advice for some, but it's not commonly practiced because the employer doesn't care what you want. They don't really care how much money you're going to make, what your salary is, what are your benefits. Those are selfish things that you care about, but that's not what they care about, and that's not what you should mention to help get the job. Instead, ask yourself what they care about and hit those things. And typically, those are, do you really have the hard technical skills and accomplishments and proof of that to not only meet the job, but ideally, you know, exceed expectations and get the job done really well. 2, are you really someone that's likable and I could see working as just a friend or a person, and you actually would fit with the company and culture and values here. So, you know, having the preparation and researching the company to know their values and speak to them and then convey that with who you are, really important. And then 3, probably another big thing that they care about is what are you expected to accomplish, you know, in the first 3 months, 6 months, whatever, at this company. How can you prove that you're going to hit that? Once again, it is a sales call in a way where you're trying to reduce the amount of uncertainty as much as possible for the employer. So in the ideal world, and this is an extreme that's probably unrealistic, but in an ideal world, you may offer to the employer that, hey, I can build out all your web analytics, I can track all your custom metrics that you want tracked, and I can visualize all that and give you insights on it right now in 0 seconds, because it takes me 0 time to complete this all. In reality, it would take you sometimes weeks or months to set that up. But if you could offer that with 0 cost to them, then it's risk-free for them. Now, obviously, you can't do that, but like every salesman, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to reduce this uncertainty and risk. So while you can't get there, you can get closer to it. How? Well, you can pull out maybe screenshots of your portfolio. You can link to them. You can pull it out on your laptop. You can show actual proof that you've done this before. You've done it exceptionally well. So there's less uncertainty there that you're a fraud, because there's plenty of candidates, unfortunately, who talk a big game And then when you hire them, they actually don't know how to do the job. And their real degree was Google University. And it's just a huge mess, and they have to, let go this employee in 3 more months. So that's what they're trying to avoid. And so one, you ought to come in with the actual skills as much as you can, at least, so that you can actually do the work. And then 2, you have to market yourself, sell yourself, and prove it with irrefutable evidence. And then 3, you have to convey your soft skills, because it's not just about you being a robot doing the work. You're interacting with other people. People want to like you. People want to know you're socially savvy. And you can communicate this well and effectively to your team members, your manager, your client, and get along with everyone and not be awkward or creepy or socially uncalibrated or unintelligent. So all these things together, when you wrap them all together, help you become the ultimate job interview candidate. And then you have everything, the trifecta, the technical skills and the proof to reduce the risk that you get this done. 2, the level of clarity, communication, soft skills that match their team values and just being a good socially intelligent person. And then 3, all the things that they care about to kind of reduce that uncertainty and improve their ability to believe in you. Once again, you can do this with the portfolios. You can maybe even offer a free week of work. That's going to an extreme, but just another idea. But there's all sorts of things you can do to really show that you actually have a lot in the can that can get this done. Now, I didn't have to offer free work, but what I did in my job interview, in my story that landed me this job, was I really spoke to very specifics of a bunch of these tools like Google Tag Manager to prove that I actually knew them. Whereas, the ordinary candidate may just speak to them on a high level, get flustered, speak in vague generalities. I went into detail because I actually knew these tools, and I wanted to prove that I used them and knew them and problem solve when they asked me questions about them. And then I just tried to present myself as the person I am, which generally is very likable and has a decent social skills. And certain things I've done, like this YouTube channel, Toastmasters, have helped me get rid of those filler words and stuff that kind of reduce your ability to speak well. And all those things together, after a few rounds of interviews, because it's not just one interview, you get to the next round and the next round, helped me get this job. And I promise you, it's not as difficult as it is as you may think. And you don't need 12 rounds of interviews like a Google or Amazon. Many small to medium businesses, if you can get through 1, 2, sometimes just 3 interviews, you got the job. So I believe in you. You can get it done. If you like tips like this and more exclusive tips I share nowhere else, join my free email newsletter below on how to get a job as a digital marketing analyst. And also hit that like and subscribe button so you can see more videos like this for free.